The story of Field is that this is a work that was made by the people for the people. Field was an extraordinary moment in my life when I'd been working probably for 15 years with relative success, but at the same time very aware that I'd been working on my own, dealing with, as it were, my own ideas about body and space, but feeling quite isolated, and I just wanted to try something different. And I started inviting people to the studio. Can you see how you go with taking a lump of clay and making something that can stand up, but don't worry too much about what it looks like, sort of more about how it feels. And I began to realize that actually we could perhaps make something that, rather than being a singular object isolated in a room, that could somehow take up the entire architectural space. And it is a sort of field of people's hopes and fears, really. It's as much about getting in touch with the earth, about becoming a child again, about thinking about the future too. So it's a absolute balance for me between a celebration of the memory of the earth and the spirit of those that went before us, the spirit of the ancestors, and about the unborn, about those that will come after us. And they look at us saying, what kind of a world are you going to make for us? What kind of a future are you making? The pieces act as a kind of catalyst to allow the feeling of the rooms to become more apparent, and you're through them able to tune in the memories of the lives that have passed through those spaces. And I think here, you know, there are very clear distinctions between that hall space or the kitchen space or the living room space. They each have a very distinct atmosphere. Now, everywhere that it's shown, in some way the place is thrown into contrast by it. I mean, into relief rather. And interestingly enough, I mean, I think if people have seen it elsewhere, I think they see it again and differently when they see it in a different context. I mean, obviously they've changed, but then so has the context of the work changed. I think that this is a wonderful thing to allow contemporary artists to engage with spaces, with history. The quality of a gallery, and certainly a white cube, I show in the white cube. And the white cube prides itself on being totally neutral. In other words, in a way, history-free zone, a zone in which nothing and anything can happen. And it's very clear that actually, well, I love it, and I know that a lot of my colleagues love it as well, to engage with places that are utterly immersed in the past, and in some senses have the texture that time has written on their substance. Actually, it's a wonderful thing. It's a huge resource for inspiration. I think, both for the audience, the public, the visitor, and for the artist, mining the potential of these old buildings, these places of dwelling but also imagination, is fantastic.